Welcome, Collin, Bedell. It's going to really be an honor to have you at my mentoring. I'm Lopez Noel, and I just want to make this video introducing you to me, my mentor, what to expect when you're going to come here, sort of some of the things that I am doing, in my own life, the innovations, renovations that are coming about, the changes, how everything is set up, how everything looks. The plans that I have for this, time that we're going to, be together, and I know that you're going to be a guest at my Edmonton, and pretty soon after that, become an Edmonton person. So I'm very, very excited about that. And that will be huge. I can just tell you that will be huge, and I can see it. And I know that you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to offer. Now, you notice how I said that, knowledge and wisdom. And I think I'm going to really get into that a lot. While, you're here, and, I'll talk about that, a little bit later on. But, first of all, just to kind of give you the rundown of stuff, the guests that are here are going to be, brought up, and you'll get to meet those people, meet all of my, not only the students, but the members of my Menton as well. Everyone who puts in so much time and effort to take care of all the little details, cleaning the rooms, putting things in order, setting up the different, classrooms, prepares the food, creates the occasions. And, if you go on my website, and I, am going to send you a little email, just some attachments of some sort of, not a code of conduct, because I don't want to be that strict, but, sort of some basic things, including, the website, my Edmonton website, my blog, my page, so that you can get a better sense of, the kind of, run of the mill. And so, this Menton is ruled by Aquarius. Actually, I just want to back up. My astrology, I was born April 6, 2004 in, Edison, New Jersey at 12:51 a.m. I have a sun in Aries, moon in Libra, ascendant in Sagittarius, Mercury in Taurus. You can probably, tell that from how I'm talking about things and, introducing things and going, getting into things. Venus in Gemini, Mars in Gemini. Mars is in Gemini right now. It's direct in Gemini, of course. Jupiter retrograde, Jupiter retrograde in Virgo. Saturn in Cancer, Uranus in Pisces, Neptune in Aquarius, Pluto in Sagittarius in the first house. I should actually go through the houses. My sun's in the 4th house, moon's in the 10th house, Mercury and Taurus in the 4th house, Venus and Mars are both in the 6th house. Jupiter in Virgo is, interestingly, I forget what house that's in. It's in the 9th house, of course. Saturn, my Saturn's in the 7th house of relationship, and marriage, and contracts. Um, Uranus, I forget what house that is in. Neptune, Pluto's in first house, as I said. Lilith in Gemini. I also have my Ceres in Cancer. And the only thing I have in Leo is my Vertex, which is very, very controversial in astrological terms. The only thing, I don't know, it's kind of conjunct, sextile, to the, descendant of the chart, which tends to look at, the seventh house to relationships. Um, I am no expert on that. I can recommend to you somebody else and several other people to go to gain information on that. But anyway, my North Node is in Taurus in the fifth house of creativity and romance. And it's, really in Taurus, which is, personal manifestations, personal drive, taking care of yourself, building something from the ground up that you can feel good about, even if it's as small as a grilled cheese and ham sandwich. My South Node is in Scorpio in the 11th house, which is the house of groups and, of course, friendships and kind of, creations of, creative endeavors. In sort of the group thing at worst, can, go into that category. So, I was born during that transit, and, I don't know about you, but I keep seeing Scorpio North nodes, pop up, like, like little dots on the map, like, bup, bup, bup. Like everywhere I turn, there seems to be a Scorpio North node, and maybe that's super fitting for me because, I believe personally that a North Node, what I call a North Node soulmate or North Node buddy, should be somebody that is preferably opposite your own North Node and South Node. Why is this the case? Well, I'm here to tell you that, take a fellow Scorpio South Node and put him or her with me, and I, may get sucked down into what, those themes of, the Scorpio South Node. But at the high road, same, North Node, same destiny, same direction or similar destiny, similar direction, helping each other out. Or it can work the opposite ways. I find the downside with Taurus South Node is working hard, not necessarily smart. Very traditional, very conservative. Sometimes you can place so much responsibility and blame and power and focus on yourself when there's just other circumstances that get in the way of, like clouds blocking the sun, for instance. Blocking your moment, blocking your spotlight, and that is, the balance. The first thing, and I want to make this clear. I want to make this crystal clear. The first thing that should not come out of your mouth when it comes to talking about a Scorpio North Node is having to do with sharing and others and teamwork and, help and having other people. That's the Libra North Node. Libra North Node is all, it deals with that. And, I could see a choir singing a song about inheritance, but not necessarily Scorpio North Node. What it does is it undermines the complexity of that. Astrology is like an onion. Certain aspects, transits, parts of the natal chart, parts of, astrology, the houses, signs, planets, aspects, all those things are like onions. They have layers. It's not simple. It's not black and white. It's not so simple as others, teamwork, sharing, all of that. That's that's like if I were to rekindle, since Mercury retrograde, going back over stuff, going into the past, looking through old photo albums, revisiting people, places, circumstances, for review to sort of, tie up loose ends and to, you know, integrate lessons from those, events in life, really. Um, family, friends, personal stuff, colleagues at work, etc., etc. But, if, it's almost as if, because I knew this special education teacher when I was younger. Her name was Ashley Traver. And I happened to know her first. Our relationship really started when when the North Node was in Scorpio. And before knowing her, I was I was in school. I was in third grade. From the very beginning of that transit, since it kind of sets the scene at that 29-degree point, I got into third grade at the end of August of 2012, and I was at Whittier until the end of 2013. I moved to, another school for the second semester of fourth grade because of, the Lula. I know somebody. Her name was Mrs. She was just not a very, we were not compatible. I was in with a teacher whose tone was just, I took what she said very personally, and we were oil and water. I was very uncomfortable, felt under pressure. I was very, afraid of what she would say. So, that happened. Long story short, I moved to, another school and met, Mrs. Traver. And that's the kind of thing that comes into my mind. I can just see a tall cabinet and you open the door and you see others, and then you walk into the door and you see me when I was little, perhaps singing the song that I created while the North Node was in Scorpio about others, others, and it was a kind of concept piece that I created. Synchronistically, it was a synchronicity, when when that transit was going on, I created that. And basically how it went was, I would I would give people, a riddle or a puzzle or ask a question to, kind of like a warm up, activity, kind of, get your, mind thinking. And then I would have groups repeat. Some people would read a story, or some people would do a certain activity over here. And so, that's how that went. But, I think of, Mrs. Traver, and I think of, because I have North Node in Taurus, and North Node in Scorpio is opposite my North Node. And of course, you can fast forward to the summer of 2013, when I was forced, dunked, and really overpowered and overwhelmed when I was taking swimming lessons. I could have sworn, I swear to you, that somebody told me, somebody who was teaching swim lessons, and, the class was way ahead of where I was when it came to what I felt comfortable with swimming lessons. It was just too much of a push too many things, it was just, like, certainly not at my level. And one of the people there was like, one of the instructors were, was saying, if you don't follow this person, if you don't do what this person's telling you to do, or somebody was saying, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, because there was a female person that I was, in relationship with, who was a teacher and a lifeguard, swim teacher. If you don't do what I'm telling you to do, she will dunk you. Now, just to kind of pick out those little puzzle pieces, dunking is wrong. It went even as far as jumping off the diving board, and still to this day it has been implanted in my consciousness a fear of going underwater. I still am afraid of that. I have not gotten over that fear. I don't know how to swim underwater. I don't know how to swim on my front and back without a noodle. I will not budge when it comes to swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. I will not budge when it comes to going down a water slide. I will not do anything that, is, risky like that. Because I'm not going to go through the fear and the trauma and the angst and the, just that whole catastrophe. I am not going to go through that again. And it was a real shame. And I did not have the backbone to speak up about it, to say, hey, this is bothering me. And I feel this anxiety and I feel this fear when I go to swim lessons. And you want to know another piece of this that really, really ticked me off? Was that my family was separated from me at the time. Part of my family. My mom was away at Atlanta at a business conference of some kind. My grandma was there, sitting way at the other end of the pool, straining her eyes to see me, didn't know what exactly was going on. And the very last day, Friday, when my dad was there, he did not have an ounce of understanding as to what I have gone through that week. I was intimidated when it came to going under what was cones that had, had water in them, and then, you would stand under them and then you would get soaked with water, encouraging me, saying, come on, do this, why can't you do this? Pushing me. And I was very, I was kind of hurt. You're not understanding this, and this is super embarrassing. And I was feeling very humiliated and ashamed of the situation that took place. And so maybe that is when I had a turning point. Maybe that's when I decided, yeah, I am going to turn around. This is not going to be, an ongoing theme for my life. Whatever the, nodal opposition translates to, whatever it means. Maybe that's when I had it, because according to just the degrees that I was born under during North Node Taurus, during the North Node Taurus transit, I had my nodal return sometime in summer of 2013. July, August. That might have been when it occurred. And that was going on in my life. So there was loss from that experience. Now, just because of that, endeavor in my life, I have learned over time, putting aside that experience to trust myself, to trust other people. I think that that's kind of part of the deal, even though I would say that that would be, Libra, harmony, balancing, relationship, collaboration. That's North Node Libra. You know, but, things can overlap and intertwine. Um, and there was a trust, you know, that needed, that I may needed to have, but, I was still intimidated, and they still did all these things to me in which I was shocked, and it was very alarming for me. And during the same transit, I did not get along with the person who told me, we need to, your parents need to come here at the, and, we need to have a talk about this, about this, issue that you're not doing your work or, following directions. Just to put, put a placement in a box and say, this is, what it is. It's about others. It's about sharing. It's about, no. I had those experiences whilst it was going on. I will say that I have been through emotionally draining experiences, while the South Node was in Scorpio, which I hope to never, endure again. But that is not what it is about. So that should not be what you should say when talking about this transit. Maybe bring it in as an aspect, as a detail of it, but certainly not as the whole thing. That is very irritating. And it's wrong because it's not what it is about. It's not what it's about. It's not all of what it is about. I want to make that clear. The other thing I want to say is you can only quote and cite and credit so many people before you don't have power. And you don't have your own authority of what you know and what you're saying. I happen to know of, the people born in the year 1942. It's pretty likely that they will at one point in their lives go back to university and go back into their educational memories and experiences to relive those, kind of a retrograding, especially at this time since Mercury is retrograde. Go back to the schools and the universities of which they were an alumni, of which they are an alumni of, just to be clear. And, they would, be very scholarly, learning from all these people and having all this wisdom. Anything I learn, some things are just common knowledge. So much stuff is common knowledge, but even what I would take off of somebody else, this is where I got this from, this is where I got this from. Well, yes, respectively, but, when it's pinpointed, when it's not just every little, detail that I'm learning, according to, I was listening to this, or, no. Because that is not in conjunction with, the astrologers on YouTube and all those things. And certainly who I am and what I'm doing at at my age. And, I was born at a certain time. I am 18 years old. And it just so happens that there's doors opening in my favor, and I just, got on YouTube and started making videos and, talking about astrology and, getting into all this stuff and, out there at this point in my life. It just so happens that they, at that point in their life, grew up. Their childhood did not involve YouTube. And at this point in their life, YouTube's an option. This point in my life, YouTube is an option. I will plan on setting up a website and centralizing things and making myself fully legitimate. But, now I'm not going to worry about it. Later on I will plan upon doing this. But for the fact that right now I'm not going to, and, well, why not? I happen to know a lot about it. I'm not dull when it comes to what I know. And I will say that. So, that's what I'm going to say. Again, to reinforce, it is an onion, it has layers. Yeah. Don't make it so that the word others is triggering for those North Node Scorpio people. Just like, money. Oh my goodness, I have Neptune in the second house. I view money as an inconvenience and as something that gets in the way of attaining what you want and, unnecessary, a complication, all these things. So, I am bettering my relationship with it, I will say, as time goes on. But that's what I'm gonna say. That's the kind of one of the big things. But anyway, getting into what I'm talking about here, what I'm saying is this, is that there's several openings that Maya mentioned for new slots. There is do-on-dos, and, do-on-dos is a really, extravagant restaurant at the top of a hill. And basically, the Mentons put on several events. And these events can be, in a separate room, gatherings, Menton, welcomings, of Menton guests, and, so and so forth. And there's that. And this specific location is very idealized. Very idealized. Very, put on the top, given, where it is. And, it does have a theme song. It's kind of Wonka-Zadie, and you may not know what I'm talking about at all. I have information available on my site about customs and what certain, these, vocabulary words mean and all, things like what an exit door is and what, secunge and what, net pines are, all these things. And what the pageantary atheist is. And there's a whole article and information on the different Labimbis, and you can go on the site and click on these sites to go find information about who they are all about, including Julie Eskenroll, who founded and initiated the Amentons, and the Amenton to begin with. And she has a passion toward atheist, and basically there's a tour, and it begins, actually May through September. And actually, as I speak, a couple days from now on the 28th, it will wrap up. And so that's when the members of the Pageantora Atheists, which they show off and they sing and they put on all these shows and sell stuff and, whatnot. And, well, it's interesting because it begins in Taurus, ends in Libra, isn't it? Well, two Venus signs. Anyway, so, that's the Pageantora Atheist. There is also, you need to know, that Toulouse, which is a store that is like a Bed Bath & Beyond for the Americans. That is a store, gives us money, people go there and make money. For the Americans, I have had some people working there. People have given very mixed reviews of the place, but they all have their own, different section that they, work with. Basically, house stuff, kitchen, supplies, beds, clothes, goes on and on. Now, the main Menton headquarters. It's located south of town, a big building. In there they have an auditorium with seats and then a projector and, an overhead. People make presentations. There's a podium and there all kinds of things. There are, there's sales that go on there a lot of the time. People sell things, bring and buy, sell type of things. Food is served, there's meetings, and there is, all sorts of, important stuff. There is like a, projection room where people just shout out, this is what's going on, and so, this little, and this was installed actually, 2 years ago, 2020, kind of beginning part of it, there were monitors put in place so that Edmonton leaders or anyone else, either Lebimbis or Lopez's. So a Lopez is a male Edmonton leader, a Lebimbi is a female Edmonton leader. So basically, people would get up and they would, make announcements for, if if it pertains to everyone, that is. So much, is kind of, on, separate and on separate islands. So, those machines do not get used that often. So anyway, I don't think that you'll have to deal with those type of disturbances too often. So, we have that. I do want to let you in on some things about my Menton. I do have an astrology community. I do have a spirituality community. Astrologers are in one community. The spiritual teachers are in another community. Authors, gurus, all these people. At my Menton, there is Kindlick, which is an academy that the school, the university for my Menton, where they take classes over what they want to take courses on, the humanities, liberal arts, sciences, business, you name it. And I was just thinking of that Avalon bike rack way of saying anything, 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 anything. So ridiculous. Takes me back to 2009. Anyway, 2009, 2008, 2007, 2006, basically when that Italian restaurant in town was still open and still running, still in business. So anyway, in Des Moines, not Indianola. But that's the academy. And then there is also, what else? Oh, living quarters. And so when you come to my Menton, you will find that you will be situated in a living quarter. It's a room and it's like an apartment. There's a kitchen, there's a, living room, there's a bed and bathroom, um, laundry room, rec room, including, some of them have libraries in them. All the, amenities of, anything that you would need and want, basically, not like, pool or movie theater, or somewhere out that. There actually is a movie theater at my Menton, a library, and, an auditorium at my Menton, too. And then there is Nunya Business. Well, it's actually a huge building. And in this huge building, I have some resources that I don't want anyone to find out about. And this is kind of, shining the light on it and, drawing attention to it. I'm well aware of that. However, when you come to my Menton, I do not want you to mention it, inquire about it, go as far as venturing on your own to see that building, get inside the fence and see what I have stored away in that building. It is top secret and only highly entrusted individuals can have access to it. So that's what I'm going to tell you. Respect is a given. Trust has to be earned. And so, I feel very uncomfortable and insecure about the fact that you may see what I have in there before I make the conscious choice to let you in on the secret. Okay? I do want you to put that aside and not bother about it. It's my own kind of, of what I desire, of what I want. And I certainly won't have anyone try to crush that dream, try to restrict me of experiencing what I want to experience. And what else? Wreaking havoc, spilling the beans, ruining my reputation, erasing the boundary line that is drawn in the sand for a reason. Now, that's what I'm going to say. We are going to be having a couple little performances going on. October 7th is a concert all about Aaron Downey, including a beautiful song. There is sweet music here, which is gorgeous. And Aaron Dowdy is, a content creator. He is, a spiritual teacher. His kind of, focal point, case in point, is, about letting go. And of course, he'll be doing a speech on that coming up very soon on the actually on October the 1st. So a day before you're, coming, which, won't impact you. Anyway, and then on October 15th, there'll be another thing that we have going on with the nodes, because all the Mentons are doing concerts that, the songs relate to the different nodal placements, so North Node, South Node, and basically the Menton leaders choose the node that is opposite their natal North Node, South Node. So I would choose Scorpio North Node. And so that's going to be October 15th. We have kind of let things slide a little bit because of the projects I have going on and, what everybody's going on. So we'll be one of the later people groups to perform, but nonetheless, I'm sure that it will be absolutely thrilling. And, I, say what I'm saying with some caution and with some kind of, grain of salt. Because what I want to make sure of is that, I'll have you know that I have a YouTube channel, I have a Facebook page, I have a TikTok page, I have Instagram, and I will soon have my very own website. Hopefully. I won't have any paid products. I'm not planning on that. It may be years until that happens. But, yeah. And I'm not planning to have monetization with YouTube because not everybody can, have their, YouTube channels monetized, so if everybody can't and you don't have to pay to get to, earn money and, grow with YouTube, if something is free and if I have to pay for something, by all means, you can use it. But if you have to gain a certain number of subscribers in order to have that feature, I would highly recommend not using that feature. On your YouTube channel, as one example, I have talked about this in the past. I even addressed it out to the public. I've said, I looked at the subscriber count on your channel, and you have the community tab. You haven't used it yet, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't use it. It is unfair. It is a disservice, and it's kind of rude to the people who do not have that feature and that can't and do not have the power and can't just turn on a light and empower themselves to have the focus and drive to earn the money to pay for those things. So that is my rule. That is my rule. And I can assure you that I'm having those people at my mention who have community tabs cut down. They have to be fair about it. Preferably don't use it at all. But I have to kind of lay things down and put my foot down and make these rulings for a reason so that there is no low frequency emotions of jealousy and disappointment and lack and, all those things, and so that everything is fair and square. So, that's what I'm going to say. As I said before, getting into what I'm going to say, I'm open to any comparisons. I'm open to any resemblances. As long as I am very intelligent and knowledgeable in my own right, and that I'm not behind or below or in line waiting to be the next one up when somebody else is up at a certain point. You know, I have produced more, more videos, more content, um, over the course of 10 months on my channel and in my lifetime than I can see that you have ever produced. So I think that that may need to be taken into account. Really important detail is that while I have 2 planets in Gemini, and I am probably very Gemini, but I am not as Gemini as you are. I have Mercury in Taurus. I have an Aries sun. I have a Libra moon. I have Jupiter in Virgo. I have all these other things. And most importantly, I have Sagittarius rising. And so, with Sagittarius rising, I'm moving towards wisdom. I'm moving towards experiences, growth, expansion from a much larger kind of plane, rather than the community, the data, the words, and how, perfected and fine and exuberant of what I'm saying and how specific I am, and, in pronouncing the consonants, and, my R is like saying our. Just the end phrase, our lives. Like, what is the deal with that? Just to say that is a profound statement. And I think that that is, appropriate for certain times, but I prefer natural, authentic, and casual, as opposed to refined and polished, unless it's, who you are and how you authentically talk naturally. Then I'm not here to get in the way of that. I'm not here to stop you. I'm not here to judge you. Just know that. As long as you're being your true self, your natural, real self, that is the most important thing. That is the biggest thing. I would not go too over the top, however. Now, I have watched you on Instagram, and I have seen your reels and stories, and you have cursed. Can I tell you something? I have never cursed my whole entire life. I've never said a single swear word, and I never will. And that speaks volumes. Indeed, I could, be self-righteous and speak about how, disciplined I am and, all of that. Do not swear. Don't swear. That's what I'm going to tell you right now, first and foremost. Second of all, if you have ever seen Polar Express before, then maybe you know the kid on the train that was dressed in yellow that was very Gemini. And, the downside of the sign of Gemini is a bit of in your head. The superficial, the words, the mind, talking about this, this over here, this over there, super chatty. Where do you drop in and really mean what you say and, be direct and deliberate about it. Really put the, the heart into what you're saying. That is what I'm going to say. Just be your natural self. But I would not get carried away. I myself, if I am very Gemini, me being a crazy Gemini is kind of few and far between, and that's what I'm naturally and I'm trying to move away from, because good grief, I was in with a very Gemini teacher, who was very all over the place and very scatterbrained and very stimulating, always, up and at it about on top of, all the little things, and always very, obsessive about what we were doing, as it was perhaps the most important thing that you would, that you would ever do, at this time in your life. And, there's more to life than that. There's also countries, continents, other cultures. There's also stepping out of your own self and getting, outside your house and taking a look at the world around you. Sitting down and being silent and listening to, yourself, going inside yourself, reflection, nature, the trees, the birds, anything calm and serene, anything that puts you at a state of being down to earth. Sitting back and really taking in and receiving and learning what somebody is saying, And so listen in silent. Have the same letters, and I have a post about that I wrote on my Facebook page. So I don't have to worry about writing a post about that. But that's what I'm going to say. I have 2 planets in Gemini, and I have my Lilith, which is, your dark side. Your, fears, shadows. My Lilith sign is Gemini. I have, Venus and Mars there. I have Lilith and Gemini, Venus and Mars and Lilith in the sign of Gemini. But I have Sagittarius rising, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, higher learning, higher education. So, that is why I'm kind of falling away from that. And I don't want you to be so Gemini that you drown everybody out. That it's so much water that the plant cannot grow, that it seems too overwhelming, and that I turn away and look away and have to walk away, just because this is too much for me. This is too crazy for me. And, this is who I'm moving away from. And this is who I see myself as, that I am in resemblance to. This is who I perceive myself as, that I'm moving away from, and moving into a much more deliberate and direct, fire earthiness, Sag rising kind of type person. And that is why Malika Semper, the astrologer, will be coming the same day as you'll be arriving. She is a Sagittarius sun and moon, and a Leo rising. And, I really see myself, in her. I think that we do have things in common with how we talk about things. And so many different things, and, that's a very important point. maybe real obnoxious qualities might need to be tamed down and turned down in terms of the volume knob on the dial. So that's one thing, and the other thing, walking into a store, seeing the variety of things around you, knowing Sign Gemini is all about that variety and change and, and all the little wonders and treasures of the world that you can find in your community, in your environment, as you look around and explore. So, anyway, I am tired of talking. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on October the 2nd. Bye for now.